Let me know when y'all back. Hello? Is anyone out there? I'm not about to start preaching to nobody. Maybe there's an ad playing. Let me know. Let me know so I can get the show on the road. Horrible beats on some of these other ones. Oh, this is okay. Hello, hello, hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Coffee. I'm trying to talk to you, my guy. I'm not talking to nobody. I'm just looking at music until I get a response. I might start if I get no response anyways, but I can't wait forever. Back? Alright. Bethel's back. That's good enough. So, as I mentioned, I'm really, I really only try to help those that want to be helped. Because another thing is, like, it's the same reason I don't like to do backseat coaching or backseat gaming, is that part of the fun of the game is the discovery. So I also never want to take away what would be someone's fun. So that patch is going to release at 4 p.m. I don't know when Steam is... No, it's Wednesday. Steam's not going to fuck us over. Okay. So... yeah. Anyways. So... I'm going to use... Kazuya and Leo. Alright. Yo, keep dancing. I'm gonna use Kazuya and Leo.
Get ready for the next battle.
They was smoking menthol cools. Oh yeah, you can tell. You can tell. In fact, hang on a second. They was really on that gas. I'm gonna sit there and hover for a second because I just want to get to my favorite part, and then I want. Oh, he back. Yeah. 1 second, 1 second. I gotta go take one more hit. Just 1 second, because the drop's not even here yet. I'm telling you, when this thing drops, just oh yeah, I was just instantly restarting it, bro. All right, 1 second. Just wait for the drop. You're gonna know what I'm talking about. There's a better drop. Like, who the fuck wrote this, dude? All right. See what it sounded like through the woofer? Oh, dude, it's crazy when you play Tekken beats in the car. Anyways, I'm gonna start out by drawing my graph here. 1 second. Now, I often say that Tekken is like life, okay? So, you asked me about my sensei and myself. So, as I'm drawing this, I'll talk about that some. So, me and my sensei were both really passionate about Tekken. And we would always say that Tekken is life. And, like, I can equate what I learned in Tekken to real life. And, you could think that was pretty cringe, but we really took that to heart. And the whole thing behind that was, life is like a fight, You gotta fight every day. All our lives we had to fight type beat. And the thing is that the only thing that's different about Tekken versus real life is that we don't get to pick our character. We don't get to pick our base character. But that doesn't mean we can't pick our play style. So that's what it was. Is we were like, yo, everyone can play Kazuya, right? Everyone can play the black guy from Southern California, but who has the same poke game as me? You know what I'm saying? Um, Stuff like that. So Here's my little pyramid. I might have to undo that. We'll undo it. 1 second. Was that webcam? All right. So I got my little graph here. Well, I only hated on blurring it because my last room was a mess. But like, now we're in the spot. Y'all get to see some shots of the new spot. All right. So there it is. I gotta add one more thing. Right? This is a brain, not a smiley face. You see it's got wrinkles on it? We're gonna put some wrinkles in your brain right now. Alright. So, yeah, we were very passionate about Tekken. And, that was what started us on it. And, the way he first would say about my playstyle was, the first thing he said was, you just always are trying to do cool stuff, right? And it was true. I was just trying to do cool stuff. But then later on, what he then started to say about my playstyle was he was like, or he started to say about the way I live my life was he was like, you're very lazy. You're so lazy that it's effective. And if you just found the way to translate that into Tekken, I think you would win more. And that's what I did. So, where do I start with this lesson? I start on control. That's our step number 1. What is control? Control is a very important thing. And, just for anyone that listens to what I'm saying and, thinks to themselves, there's no way I could have figured this out. You could have. I just want you to know that. Not to shame you and feeling like you failed at finding it out. It's just that you could have because we had to do it, right? But, in order to do it, you have to be good at reverse engineering. So when I say reverse engineering, people want to know what they can do in Tekken and what they can't do, right? And I was like, well, if you want to know what you can do, they're like, how do I get up off the ground? It's like, well, if you went to ground techniques and you just read all of those options, it doesn't tell you how to input them, but you would know they exist. Then you would know, Blasphemous, when should I side Yukimi? Blasphemous, when should I Yukimi to the left? When should I Yukimi to the right? When should I do a quick recovery, right? Versus a wake-up technique. It clearly draws a line that there's a difference between a wake-up technique and a ground technique. These very simple things here are something that every player I know up until about mid-orange rank just doesn't understand fully. So, then there's all these things. Wake up backward, front roll, side roll right, wake up mid kick, wake up low, recovery. There's all these things. And, instead of explaining them all fully or helping you teach them. What Tekken has slowly done over the years is they've removed the efficacy of them. So in this game, wake up is even easier. So what happens is scrubs are like, how do I get up? And then people are like, oh man, you can just do whatever to get up. And like, they're really right. They're really right. But that's not how you should teach it, because the scrub who doesn't really understand that is going to die. They're just not going to make it. So what I exercise is control, right? And yeah, scrubs don't get that far, right? So what I'm saying is, for you to know that these things exist, even, you would have to find them, right? And then once you found them, then you would know to start trying to figure out what to do, right? Some people don't know that side walking and side stepping are different, right? But like, if you didn't know that for some reason and you saw it here, now you know the question to ask. So these are just simple movement controls that a lot of people don't know, right? Oh, and before I begin getting deeper into that, let me break down this little thing I had to show y'all. So this is the pyramid that Cut CC made, and me and my sensei really liked it, right? I expanded upon this on my own, but me and my sensei liked it. He told me why he liked it, and it really helped me out. He showed it to me, and I just started to expand it more. So on this side, we've got the mind, and then we've got the heart. So everything in the mind is like things right? So you know when to react. You know what frame data is. A and D is attack and defense. You know how to attack. You know how to defend, right? The heart is guessing when things are unseeable. Knowing your spacing, it's again a guess. You don't know where you should exactly stand. And then your heart is movement. You know how to backdash, you know how to wave dash, but you don't know exactly when to do it. And then there's esoteric, right? So people know that Kazuya has Hell Sweep. They know that Yoshimitsu has Flash. They know that King has a lot of throws. Um, and this is what most scrubs learn. What most scrubs learn is everything from esoteric up, right? And then they learn mind games. So they learn those two things, and they're like, yeah, I've got throws with King. I'll just try to make mind games. But they have no foundation they're sitting on, so it all fails. And more so than that, this is the scary thing, why we use the pyramid shape, is they learn it this way, right? So this is the worst case scenario. But this is the way I see a lot of people go through life. And I'm sorry if I start to get too philosophical. We're here to learn Tekken, but I can expand on that more. I see some people that try to play mind games in life. They learn the esoteric facts, but they've never really learned how to be. And I have a translation of this to human life as well, where I switch up the categories and I explain that. And that's kind of how I help people get out of depression. I do that in group therapy. But that's not what we're here to do today. But if that interests you, trust me, I have the notes for it. Anyways, so, because much like in life, trying to play the game this way will lead to frustration. A lot of people live their life upside down, and it leads them to frustration. And it usually takes until they're in their mid-30s, late 20s to start playing the game, and it sucks. So I always see young people, and I try to put them on the path, but they're just too busy having fun with the mind games. Anyways, so now that we know that those two sides exist, let's get into what is control. So, control is the ability for me to tell my student, hey man, after you block that, sidestep, right? And I want them just to sidestep. The reality is that if I said that to most people, what most people would do is they would do this input. And like, that's not good. If I told you to block this move and then sidestep, I want it to look just like this. And that's all I want you to do. If I want you to sidewalk, I just want you to input a clean sidewalk animation. That's it. That's all I want you to do. If I tell you to backdash, that's all I want, right? So, the first thing is just being able to actually know how to move your character around. And that was why I showed the ground options. A lot of people, if I tried to ask you to start doing the ground options for me, if I told you, if you're like, man, Blasphemous, I lose to this thing all the time, right? I lose to this thing all the time. How am I supposed to get off the ground, right? Um, how am I supposed to get off the ground, right? And I would tell them, oh, dude, you just side roll right. That's what I would say. But then they're gonna like, I tell them to side roll right, and then they're gonna do that. Or I tell them to tech to the left, to the right, and then they do this. Um, you know? And I'm like, no, dude, I need you to just side roll and stay down, right? So like, the first thing is just learning all the basic actions, and that's as fundamental as it gets. So all the basic actions are, right, are walk forward, walk back step, sidestep guard, right? Sidestep guard, right? Side walk, run, KBD, right? Duck, and then sidestep. You know? Just simple stuff like that. So it should be to where I can tell you as if I was just yelling out commands. Walk forward, walk back, stop, sidestep, walk, stop, sidestep. Do all that stuff, right? I would want you to just do it. And then same thing goes for the ground, right? I'm like, oh man, roll forward, right? Do a low attack, get up. Do a toe kick, get up. Do a mid attack, get up. I need you to roll to the right, stay down, right? Versus I need you to roll to the right, stay down, and then go backwards, right? Or roll, stay down, and then roll towards the opponent, right? So like knowing all of these, you're wondering like, how important is this? Well, it's very important because as we start to get into the matchups, and you're like, why can't I get up? I often see scrubs that just don't know how to get up. I would hate to pull one of your replays right now, Coffee, but you had one where I was like, oh man, it's like, I can clearly tell this guy doesn't know how to get up. That was when I told you in your chat you lacked control. I said that to you. You might recall me saying that, right? At which point I was trying to invite, because vampire, I was trying to invite in, what do you mean? Or can you explain it? Or how do I get control? I try to invite that question in. Because I want to help. I want to help a lot of people. But anyways, so once you start doing that, right? Or I can tell you roll into straight up, right? Or do one roll into instant up, you know? Stuff like this, man. That's all you need. Into roll, fuck. And that's just from that direction, right? So then it's like, it's different when we go to this direction. So then it's like, okay, we restart face down, right? So like, if you restart face down, and I'm like, oh yeah, do straight up into wall standing. You see how I got that kick like that? That kick was wrong. That's the kick I wanted. Most people are not aware that from this position, you can go into an instant wall standing move instead of this slow ass get up kick, right? So here's why this is important. I'll show you the details. So this kick was 26 frames, right? That kick was 11. So like people are struggling to get up and they don't know their fastest options. If you knew that was your fastest option and I told you do your fastest option from get up and you're like, I don't know what that is. I don't play this character. And then I told you, oh yeah, man, when you're face down, just get up straight into wall stand. Just get up straight and input a wall standing button, it'll come out. But like you wouldn't get that if like you know, when I tell you to do that, you're doing shit like this, or you're like doing like you're late. Oh wow, you can do that really late. That's crazy. I'm surprised at how late that happens. Or your button timing is off. So like you can see I'm still pressing the up, right? Like if you look at the commands right now, you can see I'm pressing the up, right? But it's really simple. You just gotta learn that it's up and then the button. You know, and I've told you that, so now you know it, right? If you didn't know it. But that doesn't apply to punches, right? That's just a fundamental thing. So I can't go straight up into twin pistons. But if I went up and I told you to hold down, you would know that you could get into twin pistons that way. Right. So it's just like simple shit like that. And just off of that, man, I remember that because I was like, damn, how do I get up? I couldn't get up for nothing. Yeah, you'll never be able to get up. You'll never be able to get up, like, if you don't know. Like, one of my favorite things to do is just this. You see that? So, like, what I want you to see here, you see that the dummy is set to block all, right? So that means that when I do this, it's going to block the second it's not a true string, right? That means if I do this, and then this, it's going to block the second it gets up. Right? But I want you to notice that when I do this, into this, it hits, right? Now here's why that's dangerous. Because it can lead to this, right? It can lead to this. That's pretty bad. And it can lead to one last dangerous one I'm trying to show you. Really hard to do, but I want to show it to you. I'll never go for it in a match. But, you know, some daredevil might. So basically, it's hard for me to do, but I'll try one last time. There! You see that? That electric was unblockable. Why? Because the dummy is doing the wrong wake-up option, right? The dummy is doing stand-up, right? And if it does the get-up kicks, it's going to super die for doing the get-up kicks, right? So, like, let's do a wake-up mid-kick, right? Let's put the dummy to that, right? Now watch this. You definitely don't want that, right? But what if I told my student, why am I getting hit by the follow-up after that throw? And I just said, dude, just side roll to the right. You know. Obviously, other things I could tell my student are just stay down. Which, this is what I have to tell most people that ask. Because I couldn't even attempt to try to tell them the better option. Because I don't know if they know it. I don't know if they know how to side roll. I really don't. But once I know you can do it, you know, then I can communicate to you what you need to be doing better. So I would just say, so most people would say, oh, just stay down, right? And that's going to be like the working answer for you. And it'll work. As you can see, there's multiple options, so that'll work. But the worst thing you can do is stand up. And what's funny about that is, again, as a beginner, often you're going to ask, what's the fastest way for me to get up? And people will advise you, the fastest way to get up is just standing up, right? Okay, what's the safest way for me to get up? Just wake up backwards. I just set the dummy to wake up backwards, and it still got hit by this thing. Watch. It still got hit. You know? That's like a chunk of damage. So then you're like, so the safest option to wake up and the fastest option are no good. The problem is that those are just generic things people tell you. Um, and those generic things are like, they're only helpful because they're generic. We don't know how much you know. In the worst case scenario, we'll just do the best you can. But if you want to be good at life, at Tekken, you want to squeeze the juice out of every interaction because that's what's gonna win. Um, so that's the first thing I do, right? Control is not just the premise of that; it's a very wide premise, and we're gonna finish it. It's essentially, if you're familiar with Yipes, his name is IFC. For those that are new or don't know the old lore, IFC stands for in fucking control. Because he maneuvers Magneto like a pilot, you know? That's why they call it that. They call Sentinel and Magneto and Stormplay, they call them pilots. Because you really have to be a pilot, you know, like some Ace Combat shit. And my goal is to help people pilot their character. So we just went over the fundamental generic stuff, right? The fundamental generic stuff in Tekken. The next part is looking at all of your moves, right? It seems so stupid, right? I'll tell you what I see most people do, right? This is what most scrubs do, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Most scrubs go through the move list, you know, they go through the heat, they look at all the heat shit, they see what it all does, it makes the fart sound, yada yada. And then they decide, okay, Kazuya looks cool because I think I like Kazuya because this is what he do in heat. I think that's cool, you know. I think that's really cool. I want to play Kazuya because of that, right? Okay, cool. Oh, these are his heat engagers. Oh, they're so sick. He's so cool. That's why I want to play Kazuya, which is fine if you want to play him because you think he's cool. That's fine. I have nothing against that. I first started playing the character because he was cool. I later fell in love with him when I realized I was him. Anyways, so then you're just going through the moves, right? And then what they're missing is sure, you can see the little key here, right? What most scrubs don't do, right? A lot of people don't pull this up, so they don't know what shit does. They don't read it. They just quickly glance over it. The other day, someone was asking about moves that diminish health, take away white health, and I was like, my God, it literally tells you. You just have to read it. But, like, anyways. So, also, sorry about the echo. I haven't sounded out this room yet, so there's going to be some echo. So most people will go through the normal moves like this, right? And they'll be like, okay, what is this move? You know what? In fact, look, if it's not too much for me to ask, Coffee or someone, you look at this move and you tell me what you think about it, just based on what you're seeing. Tell me what you think about this move. And if you know stuff about the move, that works too. I'm not going to ask y'all too many questions. This is just one of the ones that will help really drive this point home. You can say anything that stands out about it. Nothing. Can't you duck all that shit? Okay, that's fair. Obviously, the last hit is mid, but you could duck it and blow it up. That is a thing. You could duck it and stop it. That's correct. And it's hella negative on block. That's also correct. I feel like it's a spammy type of move. Okay. I like both of those answers. And it looks plus on everything. No. Listen, any answer you're gonna give is a scrub answer, and that's fine. It's okay. Like, I was once a scrub. There's no wrong answer. So when I say a scrub answer, right, people get offended, but I'm just calling it what it is. A scrub answer is just an answer that comes because you lack the critical information. This is all we're doing. This game is just who has the information. Because he who has the information is about to whoop that ass. And I'm just simply showing you how to collect the information. So, Bat had it right on one thing, right? So, like, this dummy, I could have it set to crouch, to block, and then crouch block, right? So, like, I could go, one, and it's gonna duck it, right? So, it's gonna duck it. I go, it ducks it, right? Now, during that time, it can fuck me up. He was also right about the other thing. The other thing he said was that it's all punishable. It's very punishable on block, which you couldn't see. You couldn't see that just by looking at it here. So that's good, but that's coming from experience. That's coming from really putting the move to test. And then you said it's spammable. I mean, it's a fast move, right? It's 10 frames. The fastest move in the game is 10 frames, right? So we know that the fastest move is 10 frames. And if that's the fastest move, we cannot react to it. We have to guess when it's going to get used. So, you can assume it's pretty spammable because of how fast it is and how short range it is. But I'll tell you what I see when I look at the move, right? What I see is the things you mentioned. Those are all things. I see a move that's highly punishable. I know it's a move that I can spam. Why? Because if I just do one jab, it's +1, right? So jab is +1. And if their fucking fastest button is jab, this is going to beat their jab every time. You know? That's going to beat their jab every fucking time. And that's a cool thing they've set up in this game too, because some people didn't know. So you can have the dummy do their jab after they block your jab. So like, and you'll notice my jab is going to beat them every time. Counter hit even. You'll notice that my slower move trades. Right? But anyways, another thing about this move that I know is it gives us a knockdown, right? And another thing you can't see is it is hit confirmable, right? I'm gonna do the move as it was doing it in that replay. And again, it doesn't tell you this, right? It doesn't tell you this shit. Like if you look at this move, it doesn't say that it can be delayed. But I want you to notice how much I delay this. Just watch it. Versus, like, and if you can't tell there, right? I'll just have the dummy block everything and just like listen to the sound of the blocks. Do, do, do. Now watch it. So like, in order to know what's delayable, you have to test it because the game's not going to tell you what's delayable. Like, you can delay strings and that fucks up people's timing and that will also get people killed. Another thing about the move is that it, I think I said it already, maybe I did, it knocks down on hit, right? Okay, that's nice. What else? If it knocks down on hit, is there anything else it does? Does it wall splat? They fall up against the wall, but I can't get a combo from it. So that's not a wall splat. I can't get anything from it. So it doesn't wall splat. And then the last thing about the move that I like is it puts me closer to the opponent. The more I use this move, the closer I'll get to the opponent, regardless of where I'm at. I'm just going to get closer anytime I press this button. And it's confirmable. Like, I can wait to see it hit, right? Like, watch. Like, I can wait to see it hit. I'll put it to random block just to give you proof. You know? And now we're learning how to use the random block feature properly, right? Because some people are like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? You're supposed to hit confirm for a head. So what I see is a move that moves me forward, is fast, knocks my opponent down, and is hit confirmable. But if I fail to confirm it, it's launch punishable. So that's why when I do that move, because now we know that it's that hit confirmable, guess what we just learned? Guess what we
When
just
I
learned?
hit with it,
When I
all I
hit
have
with
to
it,
do is react.
all I have to do is react.
Yes.
If I
am
guess,
going to get launched and die.
I am going to get launched and die.
Doing that move is not
Doing
a
that
guessing
move
moment.
is not
When
a
I do
guessing
this,
moment. When I do this,
be guessing if they block
I
it or
shouldn't
not.
be guessing
I shouldn't
if they
be
blocked it or
guessing
not.
if they're gonna
I
press
shouldn't
a
be
button.
guessing if they're gonna press a button.
I can do that.
I
You know, it does
can do
happen.
that.
There are
it
some
does
times where
happen.
even mighty
There
old
are
me,
some times where even mighty old me,
I'll get blocked, and because
I'll
I
get
delayed
blocked,
it, though.
and because
That's
I
a
delayed
calculated
it
risk,
though.
right?
But that's a
So, like, my
calculated risk,
opponent
right?
will
So like
block
my
it.
opponent will block it.
And then we'll set this to not block, right?
And then we'll set this to not block, right? And then I'll like delay it, and it'll hit. You know what I mean? I'll delay it, and then they'll push a button because like they want to do something. And I can get them to do that by delaying it. So that's me trying to guess if I got them to press a button, you know? And is it really a guess at that point if I've been doing this all game and paying attention to what they do? Because a good player is going to know that 1-1, right? A good player is going to know that when I do it like that, right? 1-1, they know that that's -1. But only the one jab is +1, right? You see it there. So when they see me do this, a good player is going to be like, oh, he's minus. I'm going to press. Well, I shouldn't say a good player, but someone that knows a little bit of frame data is going to assume that they should press there. And then they're going to get hit with the final part. You know? And then that's going to be a body bag. And that's just that move, right? That's just that one move. So I'm not going to go through the whole move list like this. We're just using this one move as an example because every move does something. I'm going to quickly scroll through some of them, right? This move, what does it do? It moves me forward, and then he's got this back knuckle, right? This back knuckle, like, he spins, whereas the other thing is very linear. So, like, that lets me know, like, this is more likely to catch someone that tries to sidestep a little bit. Because the nature of how it comes out. And it's true, it will. Now, why would they sidestep? Well, that's easy. They would be sidestepping because of this move. Or they're just sidestepping because I'm doing this. See, like, look how fast this string comes out, right? And now I'm going to show you when I delay it. Watch this. And these are, we haven't even got deep in. And, you know, like, again, we're checking to see, right? So, like, if I knew, like, that I'm trying to keep someone out and I'm whiffing this here, right? Sometimes I might do that, right? And, like, the odds of this hitting a lower level player are really high. Because they wouldn't think that I would finish that. But I'm like, nah, I know the range. Oh, I'm good. And if they were trying to come in at me, the jabs are going to pick them out of the air on a float or something, if that's what I was waiting on. Animation. Thanks for the follow? Yeah, I saw it pop up. Appreciate that. I didn't see who it was. Let me get that for you. I have a stream label for you. Just so I can see you, because you deserve it. Welcome to the lab. I'm just going over what I consider to be control. I'm trying to do it really quick, so it's kind of abridged. Normally, the normal setting for how I train students is one-on-one, but I don't have that much time these days, so I guess I gotta kind of get a little commercial with it. But I prefer to train people one-on-one. That's more optimal for me, because that's how I was also trained.
Alright, 1 second. I gotta get this thing over here. God damn it.
Tekken's in the way. I can't get to the stream label. I can't get to the stream label. Anyways,
Stream label?
I appreciate that follow, man. Let's get back to it. So,
I can't get to the
I was
stream.
talking about delayable strings.
Anyways,
Oh yeah, ranges.
I appreciate that follow, man. Let's
now,
get back to it.
it does
So,
give you tips like this.
I was talking about
the little
delayable
tips like
strings.
that shit's good too.
Oh yeah,
right?
ranges.
But like, then there's other stuff, right?
Now it does
So,
give
like,
you tips like this.
Some people don't know.
You know,
like,
the little
let's
tips
see
like
what
that. Now
jailing
that
is,
shit's
right?
good too, right?
So I'm gonna have the dummy.
But like, then there's other stuff, right?
And like, some people
So,
don't
like,
even know what jailing is.
Some people don't
So I'm
know.
gonna have the dummy block and then
let's see what
crouch
jailing
block,
is, right? So I'm gonna have the
right?
dummy,
So like this move.
and
you
like
see the
some people
dummy
don't even
block
know
the
what
second
jailing
hit?
is. So I'm
But
gonna
they're
have the dummy
stuck for the
block
second
and then
high of
crouch
this.
block, right?
That's because this jails.
So like
This
this
jails.
move, you see the dummy
This
can block
jails.
the second
This
hit,
does not jail.
but they're stuck for the second high of
This does not jail.
That's because this jails. This
does not
jails.
jail.
This does not jail.
This does not jail. Right?
This does not jail.
So
This does not jail.
that's something where, if I said that to you, like, oh man, what's happening?
This does not jail,
And I told you
right?
to duck, and my student was like, I can't
So,
duck since I black.
that's
I
something
was like,
where
oh, it jails.
If I said that to you, like,
You have
oh
to
man,
hold
what's
it.
happening to me?
Right?
And I told you to duck,
Or
and my
if I just
student was
told
like,
them,
I can't duck
I'm trying to
since
do
I'm
something
black.
about
And I'm
it,
like,
it
oh,
jails.
it jails.
They're like, well, fuck.
You have to
How
hold
do I
it.
do that?
Right?
How minus is it?
Or if I just
You know, we
told
can
them,
discuss that. That's the
hey, I'm
next
trying to
thing.
do something about this, I'll be like, it jails. They're like, well, fuck. What do I do then? How minus
The
is
key
it?
thing about jailing,
You know, we
strings
can
is
discuss
the next
that. That's
part.
the next thing.
We're gonna have the dummy get hit, and then they're gonna go
The
on
key
crouch
thing
block,
about
right?
jailing strings is this next part. We're gonna have
So
the
that's a hit
dummy
confirmed, right? So that's always
get
gonna
hit, and then they're gonna go on a crouch block, right?
That's a hit. That's a combo. That's always gonna hit.
So that's a hit confirmed, right? So that's always gonna hit.
They have time after this. After the first.
That's
two
a hit.
punches,
That's a combo. That's always
to
gonna
duck and
hit.
block that because it's not natural and it doesn't jail.
They have
Those other
time
strings,
after this.
These are
after
natural.
the first
They
two
have to hold that
punches
whole string.
to duck
Called
and
a
block
natural
that
combo.
because it's not natural
So
and it doesn't
if I was
jail.
like, hey man, after that
Those
you
other
wanna go
strings,
natural, right?
these are natural. They have to hold that whole
Or
string.
hey man,
That's called a natural combo.
You want to try to beat this character
So,
by
if
doing
I was like, hey,
strings,
man, after that, you
or
wanna
like,
hit
hey
with
man,
natural,
do stuff
right?
that's not natural. Why?
Or
that
hey
guy's
man,
pressing you. And if
you
do
want to
stuff
try
that's
to
not
beat this
natural, you're gonna
character
catch
by
him
doing
mad.
strings,
You
or
know,
like, hey
like,
man,
people
do
don't know what
stuff
I'm
that's
talking
not
about.
natural. Why?
It's useless.
Because
You
that
know,
guy's pressing a
so,
lot, and if you do stuff that's not natural, you're
I
gonna
showed
catch
this
him
because
mashing. You know,
now we're gonna
like,
get
people
into
know what I'm
this.
talking about.
This
It's useless.
button
We have no
I showed
control.
you,
So,
just so you know, I'm not.
oh no, you're not crazy. I showed you this string, and I showed you them ducking the second hit. That's if they block the first one. On hit, this mid stands them back up to where they cannot duck. So there are some situations where it happens with 2D players a lot. They panic duck and they get stood up, you know? Whereas, like, you know, it's just not going to work out for them. Because they got hit. You know, and it stands them up. So like, let me do it this way. Let me do it block all and then crouch, right? So let me do it this way. You see how that stood him up? You see, you can't even crouch anymore. So there'll be scrubs who just want to hold down back. And like, that's not gonna work because like, oh shit, stream open is echoing. Also, what's going on? I hear you twice. Oh, wait! I'm dumb. I just fixed the echo. Holy fuck. I didn't know that's the echo you guys were talking about. I'm sorry. Anyways. Yeah, I knew it was like that for a while. Also, F. White, this is also, I wouldn't call him a sensei per se, at least not in Tekken, but we used to spar a lot. You know, he taught me some stuff. But this is one of my OGs right here, so shouts out to that. Now, I would say, in mentality, like outside of Tekken, this guy helped teach me a lot about just like getting in people's mind, winning the game before playing the game. So, shouts out to F White for that, man. I'll always respect my boy D for that. It still works to this day. I be getting in people's head. People claim I have an aura, but anyways, that's a whole nother topic. And I just want to show some respect to him because he's in here. And we're doing a Tekken tutorial. I just thought it went out, so I didn't mind it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. So where I was going with that is there are some things that are going to stand your opponent back up, right? And that's going to make people feel like their defense is wrong because, you know, they come from like a 2D scene where all you do in 2D games, right? All you do in 2D is you just hold down back. You just hold down back. Sorry, you hold down back, and then when they finally do an overhead, you stand up and block it. You react. Because that's how that works. But you don't have that option in 3D. You don't get to wait until then. So you have to know the next part, which is, okay, Blasphemous, if they got moves that are going to stand me up, they got moves that are jailing, how am I supposed to know what my opponent is going to do? Oh, wait. I want to show one last situation. We're going to get to that. I want to show one more. An example of why I wanted to show all that in the first place. And about looking at your moves. So Batfo mentioned a thing about that move. Remember when he mentioned the flash punch? And he mentioned that he knew it was launch punishable? So that's my next question to you, right? Is the next question I would ask you is, how does the move perform on block? And if I were to ask someone that, most people would tell me, oh, it's minus 17. But like, what I'm curious of like is, well, does it leave you close, right? Because like, I want you to notice this move, right? I want you to notice this move, right? You see this move, right? You see how it leaves me on block, right? See how it leaves me on block, right? You see? So, I bring that up because what will happen is people will be at the wall and weird things are happening because they don't understand how their character is moving, right? So if I ask you, oh yeah, electric makes me plus, but it pushes me back. How far does it push you back? Are you in jab range after? I am. I know that already. I know that after that, I'm in jab range. I know that dick jab range is going to whiff, right? I know that. My opponent may or may not, right? So what could happen here is I can do this and that, and if my opponent tried to low parry, there's a chance they're going to just duck for no reason because the dick jab's going to miss, right? And then I'll just hit them with, you know, while standing or some shit. But knowing, like, oh yeah, after this, I'm in range of this. After electric, I'm in range of this, right? But there's more. Let's say my opponent is a threat at the wall, and I'm scared, and I want to safely try to kill them, right? I do this to people all the time. It's one of my secrets. I do this to people all the time. It kills people left and right. If you heard it here first, great. I'm sure some other person will say they did it in Discord Tech, but I like to believe I'm one of the smarter people that does this shit. So this move, right, has another input where it's up. And if you look at what happens, when I do the up forward, it leaves me in. But if I execute the same move with the same frame data with the up input, it pushes me back. So there's like, and it pushes me back to a range where like, what do you think is gonna hit me from there, right? Like, do they have shit that can hit me from there? Like, and what if I space it even better? Like, you think, no, they're not gonna hit me from there. Like, I'm so good. So like, I'll just go up, you know, I'll do, let's say I just hell swept this person. Yeah, let's hell sweep them and then, let's actually do it. Let's do it. It'll look something like this. It'll look something like, you realize what's about to happen when they press? That's game over. That's it. So people think that like I'm electrocuting people because I'm like some type of wizard with like when I do it. No. I just know that like if I just know that if you are not aware of what's about to happen after you see that, I know that you're probably gonna panic and you're gonna jab, and then you're dead. So I say that to say, when you're trying to gain control of your character, I want you to look at everything your character does, not just when it works though, right? Like this is like life, again, equating it back to life. People always talk about the services or the features they get when they get something. What they don't look at is how good does that thing work, or what is the support like when it breaks. So we know what this move is like on hit, right? But what's it like on block? What's the support like on block? You know what I'm saying? What's it like? You know, we know electric on hit. What's it like when it fails? What's it like when you fail the input? How does that feel? Like, you know, I'm struggling to fail the input? There we go. Yeah, like, what happens if I fail, you know? I was like, oh man, this loan is great, but what if I don't make the payments? You know? So, that's the second step in gaining control. After you've learned all the generic fundamental actions, is I want you to look at and know every single thing your moves do on hit or block. Because like that's important, right? If you want to get away from your opponent, why is that important? Again, let's go back to the center stage, right? So like, let's say I'm trying to get away from my opponent, right? If I don't know what moves help get my opponent away from me, right? And my opponent is rushing me down, I'm gonna press jab because I want to get them off me. But if they block the jab, they're still in my grill, right? But if I knew that I could be like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, that'll give me some distance. Or we're going to do this because this creates some level of distance. Or we're going to do this because like this starts creating a cushion of distance. Like in 2D games, people do block strings, right? But a lot of people don't examine a block string in Tekken. They don't think about what does this do, right? Like I'll do this move a lot. And sometimes people will be like, I've heard people like, why do you only do the first 2 hits? And then my question to them is, do you know how minus it is on block when I do the first 2 hits? And then they're like, no. And I'm like, that's why. Which goes into the next layer. Frame data. Spacing. Once you've gone through all the moves and you're going to see that like you have, oh, now I know what's punishable. Now I know the frame data, right? Now I know what's unsafe. I now know what jails. I now know what gets them off of me, what creates space. I now know what gets me closer, what gets me in, you know? One second. Also, you're helping customers as well? Alright, you got it. That's fine. I appreciate everyone for watching and listening. I'm almost done. I'm going through it pretty fast. Like I said, this is a bridge version. If you ever want like a more in-depth lesson or something, I do those one-on-one, or I try to. So then, there's the spacing, right? So now we know our moves that move us forward, right? Like this move right here. This move is great. Where most people see only a high, what I know about this move is that because Kazuya ducks his head, he can avoid some highs, and it moves me forward a lot. So like this move is actually really good to like engage from a distance. It's really good. And it spaces out well with this, right? Because this is a move that if they walk into it, they're plus. I'm gonna try not to get too much into my character, because my goal isn't to get into my character. My goal is just to explain, right? This move, long range, gets me in, right? But what if my opponent has superior highs, like Steve Fox? Okay, I tell people all the time, I'm like, how do I beat Steve? I asked them, I told my other student I was training right now, Silent K, I told him, what's your advancing low? He was like, advancing low? I was like, yeah, like, you have a move that hits low that moves you forward? And he was like, he couldn't think of one. But I was like, yeah, man, if you don't know that, like, this move is low and moves you in, I can't help you. But this is like the answer to Steve Fox. And if you ever see me fight a Steve, I want you to pay attention to how I use this button, right? You'll notice it now. So spacing and frame data, and then again I mentioned the push back and things. That's going to be attack and defense, and then movement. Movement's just going to be execution, right? Movement's going to be all this: when to move, when to do that. But the offensive and defensive options are what I was getting into when I was talking about blocking. Like if I wanted to get someone off of me, but I hit them with this on hit, this isn't going to get them off me. This is going to make me plus. This is offense. But I know the frame data, so I can use that +7 to get away if I really want to, even on hit. Most players would press their advantage, but you know, you play your situation how it comes up. I know that, like, oh yeah, oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. My bad. I should have showed you all this. And again, this isn't me trying to be character specific, but it's just a great example, all right? So I'm going to have the dummy, who doesn't know anything, do a jab, right? So the dummy is going to block and then jab, right? So I have this move here, right? This move is minus. A common thing that people will do, you can see the frame data. A common thing scrubs will do is they will want to become plus so they can force their mix-up. So what they'll do is they'll block anything, and then they'll test jab, because maybe they're not even trying to force their mix-up. Maybe they just think it's punishable. Like, they don't know how punishable this is, so they press jab, and now they're like, oh, I can punish. But I know that this is a safe move. I know I could duck again. You might see people do that, right? This is layer one. Layer one is people do safe moves and the duck and blow you up. That's like scrub layer one. That's like, haha, I know the moves frame data, right? I'm on layer 2, bitch. I'm gonna duck and kill you, right? But the problem is, well, not problem. Higher level play, you need to exploit it more, right? That's my whole thing is, again, squeeze everything. So what me and my sensei learned when we were trying to figure out how to sidestep better, we started looking at it as range and space, right? So I know that after you block this move, I've got enough time to sidestep it, but not into the camera, right? I can't sidestep it into the camera. I know that, right? So I know never to do that. But I do know that if I do this, that's free all day, right? And as a result of that, I get to do cool stuff like that, and people think I'm really godlike with electric again. But that's not the case. I just know my opponent's mashing, you know? That's all it is. So then, like, people swear, like, anyways, yeah. But now imagine I told you that I have a situation like that, right? For every move on here that's safe. You know what I mean? That's how you become deadly. That's how the move list starts, like, becoming like, yo, what can he do, right? That's where we start digging into it. But it's not always a jab, right? It's just I know they're going to jab because I've been paying attention. You know, they might do something else, right? But I know the range of that, right? Let's see.
What else could I do? I know that after this, I can't sidestep,
right? I know that. I know that after this, I can't do it. So we don't do it there. I know that Even though, right? Even though this is -5, just like the other move, I can't do it there. Why? Because the space. And that space, the very tip, that's harder for me to get. But this move moves them out to exactly where I need them to be. Even though it's the same frame data. So you'll hear people say, like I just said a second ago, oh, you can step at -5, right? But it's like, these are both -5. How come one of them steps and one of them doesn't, right? And the answer to that is spacing. Because basically, the attacks have to travel through the air, reach their destination, and then become an attack. So when you start translating spacing and frame data to how the attacks work, it starts making more sense. And this is the thing I'm going to end on for this lesson before I get going into like my online session again. Because I've given you enough to look at and study, and ask more questions. Again, I go into a lot more depth with it with all of my shit, but the fastest attack, as we've seen from both of us, is a jab, right? The next thing we have is a fast mid. What is a fast mid? Well, based on what I can see, my fastest mid is 12. But the fastest mid that I have is 12 is unsafe. So I could say that that's a rule of Tekken, right? I could say that if a move is 12 frames in mid, it should be unsafe. And that is generally true. If a move is fast and if a move is... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm skipping one phase. Frame data. Knowing your punishes. The thing I want you to learn are your punishes, 10 through 15. Because 15 is launch. Everything after that, we don't care. But once you learn your punishes, 10 through 15, then when you're playing and you know your punish, and you're like, what do I do? And I'll just be like, 12 frame punish. You don't have to ask me what input it is. You don't have to ask me anything. I don't have to ask you what character it is. I just tell you, do the 12 frame punish. And then you do it. You'll win that interaction. So, know your frame data 10 through 15. And the reason that that matters is because once you know your frame data, 10 through 15, I'm going to explain the things I was talking about. 1 and 11, those are going to be highs, right? Like this is my 11, it's a high. This is my 12, it's a high. This is my 10, it's a high. Another thing about all of these, they're very close range, right? So that lets me know that if I'm close range, my opponent wants to do something fast, if I duck, the odds are in my favor that they're going to go over my head. But if I'm a little more back here and they do like a down forward 1 or like some safe mid poke, those are generally safe. But they're farther back. So like, okay, cool. But what about the big attacks? Oh, they're like 17, 20, 23, 21. These moves are all big. But like, they're not gonna, I'm not gonna do a 23 frame move in your face, right? Like I'm not gonna do, I don't know, I'm not gonna do this in your face like this. Like, this is slow. It's 17 frames. You're probably pressing anything that would beat that at this range. So I would rather get in the space to where the move is now more viable. So when I get into here, I know your jab is more viable, and that's what I'm going to try to blow up, you know? So that's how sometimes it seems like a quick read or react, you know? And then, yeah, just, I'll leave you with that concept for now. Just simply that. It's just, once you understand the range and zone that people are going to want to use a certain attack, you'll be able to better understand. Like, I understand that he wants to do. It's understandable that I want to do this move at this range, right? Why the hell would I want to do that right here? Right? It would make more sense for me to do it out here. So it's like, yeah, just understanding where people are standing at and stuff like that is going to give you a good edge. So now that I've described that, right? Now that I've described that, that's going to be into this lesson. I'm going to stop the stream and start it one last time. And then I'm going to play Tekken for a little bit. And you're going to watch me make fools of people that are making the wrong choices based on some of the shit I just described. Anyways, blackout.